Welcome and thank you for watching the third video on Mary Jane's journey. We start in January, the year of 2018, and what a turbulent month that turned out to be. Actually, it was probably one of the hardest and most challenging times for Mary Jane. But know that regardless of what life has thrown her, she is still smiling, loving, and trusting Jesus all the way. If only one person going through cancer or any other tragedy in their lives view this video and find that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, then Mary Jane's mission, along with her infectious giggle, dazzling personality, and unbounding faith, well, we'll call this project a success. So welcome back to the third and final series of the Mary Jane story. We hope you've gained some inspiration from this. We hope you've found out that Jesus is really the answer to most everything. And most importantly, I hope you found out how strong Mary Jane's faith was through all this. Now, we just came out of being diagnosed of having triple negative breast cancer on the liver. And you're facing a new year. What are your options?
Well, my options were to once again go on chemo. So I was on chemotherapy treatment. And then I was also on a genomic trial, which benefits women in the future and probably wouldn't benefit me. So that's where it all began in January of 2018.
So you had to break all this news after having an awesome 6-month cancer-free party. Had to break it to your kids. And
Yes.
how did that happen, and what was your intuition at this point?
It was really difficult, and our children don't live close, and so everything by FaceTime. It was almost as hard as the initial diagnosis.
Oh, really? Really?
And it was
It was difficult. It was hard.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
hard. And I wanted to go see my daughter.
Yeah, sure. In Minnesota, right?
In Minnesota. She's due with their third child in April. And so in discussing with Ron and with my oncologist that I wanted to go and visit after the baby was born, my oncologist said no. He said I wouldn't be able to give you a break from chemo at this point. So he suggested that I go now. So I booked a flight to Minnesota and was there from Minnesota January 20th to the 29th.
Wow, almost 10 days with your grandkids.
Almost 10 days.
Well, that's got to be a little bit healing, huh? You know.
bit.
So it's time to come home that
I'm
day.
headed home, January 29th. I'm headed home. My kids live almost 3 hours from the Minneapolis airport, so I had a long shuttle drive in 8-degree weather.
Oh, yeah, it is January.
Yeah. It was about 2 or 3 in the morning and made it safely to the airport.
Good.
And sent Ron a text.
Yeah.
Said I'm at the airport, and he didn't answer. And so I called Megan and said, "Have you talked to Dad?" And she said, "No." "Have you?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, that's strange. He always answers. Well, maybe he's in a meeting." I said, "No, if he's in a meeting, he always answers and says, 'I'm in a meeting.'" So between Joseph and Megan and I, none of us hearing from Ron, there were some red flags that were going up. Well, I had to get on the plane, so I gave Megan Ron's work number and said, call and ask for his extension versus his cell phone. I said, maybe there's something wrong with his cell phone. I said, I've got to get on the plane. I'll call you when I change planes in Denver. So my plane was late getting into Denver. I only had a few minutes to get to my next destination. So I called Megan And I said, what did work say? And she said, they said he wasn't there today. So ding, 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 the light started going off and we knew something was really wrong. So I called my neighbor across the street and asked Connie if Tom's truck was there, and she said yes. And asked her if her roommate Jereve was home, and she said she should be. So I called Jereve, and she was about 5 minutes from home, and said that she would go to the house and check on him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had to board the plane, so I gave her Megan's number and said, give Megan a call and let her know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a 3-hour flight from Denver to Seattle, and I'm very worried, very nervous.
That something
There's
might
just
have happened.
something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, did he fall and his phone's not there? You know, did he go for a walk and
Didn't take his phone.
didn't take his phone? And so once the plane landed, I got off as quickly as possible, and I saw my neighbors, Connie and Tom, there at the gate. I ran up to them and said, is he okay? And they had to give me the news that he had passed away.
Oh my. So he had passed away during the night sometime.
Sometime during the night.
So your height of awareness and suspicions, God was really preparing you.
He was.
He was. What happened then?
Well, we went to, Connie and Tom wanted to know if I wanted to sit down, and I said, no, I need to get home. And so they escorted me to baggage claim. At Ron's memorial service, I said that I knew that Connie and Tom weren't carrying me through the airport, but there's a poem called Footprints, and our choir director, Kenton Lee, actually wrote a song about it. And it talks about footprints in the sand, and at times that there's 2 sets of footprints, and then other times there's only one. And the person asked Jesus, why did you leave me? And Jesus said, I carried you. And that's what I felt, that Jesus carried me through the airport down to baggage claim, just so I could get home.
Yeah, of course he did. Of course he did. So this is a time when you learn to really pull on the faith and really lean on Jesus.
That's all I had to lean on. That's all I had to lean on was Jesus. It took us 2 hours to get home because it was pouring rain, and my neighbor Jereve fought for the medics to keep Ron's body there so I could say goodbye.
And did they do that?
They did.
They did. Good.
They did. And I'm very, very thankful for that. He was asleep.
So he just died in his sleep.
He died in his sleep, and he was peaceful. I got to give him a kiss goodbye and tell him that I loved him. Thank him for being such a wonderful husband.
Yes. What was the last thing you said to Ron? Do you remember?
The last thing was a text. I called him the night before I flew out, and he texted me that he was on the phone talking to his brother. And we texted that we loved each other and would see each other the next afternoon.
Wow. It's we never know. We never know when
We never know.
when God's going to take someone away, and so it's so important when we leave someone what we say. I think that
absolutely
speaks
is.
volumes, the fact that no matter what, that was the last words in your mouth, and probably his.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had to go through preparing Ron's entire funeral service at this time.
Yes, he passed away on January 29th, and we had his service on February 10th. We had to do it right away because of Megan being pregnant,
Right.
that she couldn't fly after a certain date. And to say it was a whirlwind.
Yeah. And I got to say, I'll tell you this, I'll report to you this. I was at that funeral, and I have never seen a funeral that was so uplifting as it was. You were, Mary Jane. I mean, you had to know Jesus was still carrying you. There was still only one set of footprints.
I think you're right.
Because it was an amazing service. It honored Ron, it honored God. And so many friends were there. So many people reconnected because of you. Think of the things that have happened that have been reconnecting of people because of you. Lives because of you. Think of lives that have been touched.
Because of Jesus.
Because of Jesus.
Because of me allowing Jesus to do whatever it is.
So,
whatever it takes.
So you're still hanging on to that faith. Is that what you're telling me?
Always. I will never give up my faith. Never ever. It is the...
What does it do for you? What can you tell the people that are watching this video? What makes you want to get up and put one foot in front of the other, and what makes you want to do that smile, that little cute, quirky smile that you do? What?
It is just joy of waking up every morning. There's a disease in my body. There's no guarantee. I've already outlived my life expectancy. So I do take joy in putting both feet on the ground and getting out of bed every morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's a glorious day when you wake up.
Yeah.
The alternative would be more glorious if you're going to heaven. You just will be waking up at home.
Wow.
I find the Lord is my strength, my shield, my comforter, my all in all. I have no one else to turn to but to Jesus. And the comfort that he gives me is inexplainable. I truly just don't know how I've made it each day.
Were you afraid that first night you stayed in the house by yourself when Ron was not there?
Well, Joseph was there. Joseph arrived from Yakima.
But when you were, the first night you were alone,
home alone,
because I know that you had a little bit of fearfulness. And being your friend, I kind of knew that. So, but that first night when the family left and the hoopla was gone,
I had a wonderful night's sleep. I actually had someone there for, I think it was 3 weeks, and my sister-in-law was due to come in when my daughter left, and I called her up and I said, come Wednesday instead of today. I needed some time. I needed a few days to start to adjust to my new normal, to know what I was going to be feeling, to how I was going to be acting. Am I going to be able to sleep? And I was.
That's amazing.
And God gave me peaceful sleep and has given me peaceful sleep ever since.
Because our third shooting of these videos was so consumed with tragedy and so much to say, it ran a little longer than we had planned. So we divided this third video into 2 videos. We will have just one more to share with you next week. At the end of our next video, we'll give you an update on Mary Jane, and we'll tell you about a new prayer opportunity for those of you who are fighting cancer. Don't forget to watch video 4. You will really want to see how all of this turns out.